Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is many a true nerd, and welcome to our History Untold, and seriously, we are in a mini golden age of strategy games that are looking to steal Civ's crown, because earlier this year, we had Millennia, fascinating games, some brilliant ideas there, and next year, of course, the King returns. Civilization 7 is only just round the corner. And in the meantime, right now, we've got Ara, made by a team including many Firaxis veterans, so a whole bunch of talent that made the previous Civilization games has got together to make this, and just so you know what we're dealing with here, I sat down with this the other week, just to, play the basics, get to grips with it, and I played 180 turns, by mistake. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, step 1, we've got to pick a leader and nation we're going to be playing as, and while I could, get into all the complicated technical mechanical stuff going on over on the right there, that's not what's important to me, okay? We need to discuss something way more significant. And that is fashion, because most of these leaders have got, 3 different variants of appearance down in the bottom left there. So, Joan of Arc could just show up in some much fancier golden armour. And that's true for most of these leaders, they get 3 variants. But some don't. Some just get a handful more. You see, for some reason, George Washington, if he wants to, gets to dress up as a modern general. He even gets a new haircut to go with it. And Genghis Khan just gets to put on some modern body armour if he feels like it, but okay. All of this pales into insignificance next to what is clearly the best leader in the game. And that is Sappho representing Greece. Not that Sappho should represent Greece, because the concept of Greece would be completely anachronistic at the point when Sappho existed. She was part of the Hellenic cultural tradition, absolutely, but Greece as a nation wouldn't exist for, you know what, it's fine, don't worry about it. The important bit today is that yes, Sappho was a lyric poet of the 7th century BCE, who wrote a whole bunch of love poetry, a great deal of which seems to have been directed towards other women, to the extent that, yes, to this day, Sappho, and the island she was from, Lesbos, literally gives us the words sapphic and lesbian, so as a result, she's picked up this alternative appearance. 10 out of 10, absolutely incredible jacket, obviously we're playing as Sappho. I don't even care what's going on with, the mechanical stuff on the right, let's flip it go. So, welcome to Greece, or to be precise, Atenae, which is the ancient Greek for Athens. The year is, we don't know, we've not really invented calendars or indeed numbers yet. Instead, all we know is it's currently ancient history, which is the period of the game that predates the Bronze Age, so that puts us at least 4,000 years ago, probably a lot more. Basically, my entire society is currently, handful of people, a few huts, and that fire up there. That fire is important. Basically, it's kind of our god at the minute. So okay, let's get into what this game is all about, and I appreciate this probably looks a bit complicated, there's a lot of numbers on screen, but don't worry, at this stage of the game, things are actually pretty bloody simple. All we need to worry about right now is growing, up there in the top left. In 12 turns, my population will grow from 1 to 2, and that's really, really bloody important, because the moment we hit population 2, I can claim one of these regions nearby to where I've started. Which is important because, as you can see, there's a few rather sexy, lovely resources nearby that we don't have right in our starting area, so right, that's priority number 1. 12 turns, however, is a bit of a long time to wait, so what we're gonna do to speed that up is turn our attention to our Lord and Saviour the Fire. Because you see, probably one of the most important things about this game that sets it apart from, say, Civilization is, Ara is very much about production chains. What the Fire is doing right now is producing a feast. And when that feast is done, that will be an item my society possesses. And there's basically only one thing to do with that item, and that is plug it into the town as an amenity. That's how this game works. You craft things, then you plug them into the towns to give those towns bonuses. The feast will be particularly good in the early game because it massively increases city growth. Beautiful. So, right, that's all great news. The problem being, it's gonna take 56 turns to make the feast. That's less good, so what if we could, maybe speed that up a little bit? because you see I can just plug additional resources into this production chain. So here we go. How about a lovely bit of food that we're just sort of gathering off the land right now? We're making a surplus of food, as you can see in the top left there, so sure, shove a bit of food in here. Now we've got a bit of a deficit, I'll admit, but you know what, we can fix that in a second, it's all going to be fine. We've got, like, you know, a bit of food we can work through for the time being. And then, yeah, we've also got some money floating around, just to plug that in, and there we go. That's now going to be done in 5 turns, rather than, like, 60. That feels like, you know, good progress to me. So, that's what the fire's doing. As for the city as a whole, that needs a project to work on too. Like, you know, something new that we're building, and given I just, like, you know, created a food deficit, probably best we toss down a farm, so this, I think, some people will really like, by the way, which is, this game is not, like, divided into nice regular hexes or squares or anything. Everything's full of, like, organic lines and whatnot. And don't worry, it's not like bigger slots mean more food. It's purely for decoration. So, that's all just going to take a bit of time, and I also start with a scout here, so let's just send you out to start figuring out, yes, what's nearby. He moses in that direction, or rather, starts mosing in that direction, because, yes, in Ara, everyone takes their turn simultaneously, and everybody's moves and actions all get resolved at the end of the turn. So, click next turn, and my scout moves in that direction, and starts revealing a few more bits and pieces dotted about. Lovely. And on top of that, the technology screen's opened up. Now, this I really bloody like, by the way, because, yes, the way technology works in Ara is technologies are very much specifically tied to certain production chains, which means the technology you choose is really going to vary game to game depending on what spawns nearby to you. Now, I can't help but notice that, yes, right next door, we've got an amazing farming district. We've got barley and we've got corn, both of which produce grain. So, as a result of that, probably best, yes, we go for grain storage, because that will open up a whole bunch of new exciting sexy bits and pieces we can do with aforementioned grain. So yeah, for me, that's a no-brainer. So okay, my scout just continues moseying about, figuring out the lay of the land around me. And on top of that, yes, sometimes you'll just get tiny treasures dotted about. Just going to tell my lad to go and collect that. Beautiful. Bit of timber, animal fur too. Just some basic resources to start us off here. Right, couple of turns later, and here we flippy go. I have now successfully created a feast as fast as it's possible for me to do so. Meaning right now, yes, it's going to take another 7 turns for Athens to level up its population. But what if I said no? That sounds stupid. Let's plug a feast in, giving us a giant pile of food, a giant pile of city growth, and a giant pile of happiness too. So I'm going to plug that feast in immediately. And that's going to last 10 turns. It's not like, you know, a permanent thing. And given we now know, yes, the feast lasts 10 turns, we don't need to be spending a huge amount of resources pumping out feasts every 5 turns. We could probably, yeah, empty a couple of these slots. A feast every 8 turns. That works perfectly. That is fine. So okay, I'm now producing a feast at, yes, a pretty sustainable rate, meaning I can keep one plugged into my city at all times. And on top of that, the feast increases city happiness because, okay, this is kind of a cool system, which is, unlike, say, Civ, where you get more production by just slapping down a mine and that just generates production, in this game things work a bit differently. The actual base production of a city tends to be pretty low. What's more important is multiplying it out a bit. And the happier the population in your city, the more your production gets multiplied out. So right now, because my happiness has gone up from 50 to 60 on account of that feast, I'm now gaining a bonus 10% to city production. And the other quality of life metrics down here are very similar. More healthy cities grow faster. More knowledgeable cities generate more research, so your science comes in quicker. Prosperity, obviously more money. And yes, security relates to the military. We'll get to that when it comes up. And there we flippy go, just 2-3 turns later, Athens is now population 2, which means, yes, a whole bunch of, like, you know, new buildings start popping up, which I find delightful. So, okay, that means we have now got the ability to claim a region, and, yes, those symbols you're seeing right now, the apple for food, the wood for lumber, the stone for materials, the gold coin for gold. If I claim a region, I get that much of each resource coming into my stockpile up in the top left there. But that's really kind of, you know, not the most important thing. What's way more important is, going forward, if I build an associated resource, it multiplies out at that number. So, that farming district I have my eye on, that's got plenty of food, meaning my farms are going to be very, very productive. If I wanted to set up, like, you know, some lumber infrastructure, however, Colossus down over here, with plenty of wood, that would be the best option. Meanwhile, yes, Mykonos down here, that would be great for setting up mines, but okay, for the time being, yes, we're expanding into this bit of the world, and that now belongs to me. And perfect bloody timing, grain storage is coming online too. Together with my first farm and now operational, and okay, seriously, I find this game really quite attractive to look at. Like, this is a pretty game. So, okay, what we're going to be wanting to do is prioritize collecting any resources we've got in our empire. So, naturally, yeah, let's get a barley farm down immediately. So, okay, while I've been doing that, let's think about, yes, what our next technology is going to be, because immediately down south, we do have grapes. Grapes could be used to craft, yes, wine. So, I believe there is a technology for that right now. There we go, fermenting. So, okay, we could use that to create a beautiful wine resource, which would increase city happiness, but slightly lower city knowledge, because everybody's drunk. So, that's certainly a good idea, because, yeah, we've got grapes right bloody there. We've also got saffron flowers nearby, so that we could create, yeah, spice or saffron. But there is the slight issue of, okay, there's a predator there, and it's a relatively dangerous predator, so we might as well leave that alone for the time being. And ditto up north, we've got pigs, but they're guarded by tigers. They're even more dangerous. So, right, at some point we need to, train some proper troops to deal with this nonsense. And speaking of which, yes, I can just tell my troops to go and attack these animals. Basic wolves are not too dangerous, my guy will take a tiny bit of damage, we'll get a little bit of food, a few fur pelts, etc, etc, but yeah, basic scouts can probably not be trusted to deal with, anything too much more dangerous than a basic wolf. Ooh, then again, as we explore off in this direction, right. There's foxes for pelts over here. There's cows for, delicious, delicious beef and whatnot. And there's a limestone up here, so, right. Might be a bit more dangerous, but you, sir, you're going to be, yes, attacking that cougar. Good luck, basically. But right, with that farm in play, it's time for things to get a bit more complicated, which is, okay. Let's introduce some more interesting production chains by building a proper workshop. Oh, and on top of that, we've got a paragon available. This is just like a historical celebrity who shows up and helps out your empire. I don't know what triggers them to appear or not. It seems to be like, a bit on the random side. So yeah, you get a choice of them, and they can also be put in different roles to do different things. But I will admit, what jumps out at me immediately is, okay, you, in the middle. As a domestic advisor, you'd provide a +5 research every turn. And at this point of the game, that's a huge amount of research, so right, welcome aboard! And on top of that, sometimes you get random events too, so, right. We've got a boy who showed up, him and his friends are climbing trees, and while sitting atop a giant oak, spotted a raised and unnaturally round hill. So okay, he wants to go and investigate. I can send a scout, which reduces happiness and thus productivity, but will get me a giant pile of, jewelry and ceramic pots. Or, I can, send the kid out. In which case I get the same rewards, but yeah, I'm sacrificing security. I feel like, we've not run into any neighbours just yet. We're probably fine to not be worrying about security for 10 turns, so, okay, this is actually really good news. Because Athens just grew to level 3, meaning now we've got a brand new amenity slot. It's, every 2 levels of growth, you basically can plug in more amenities simultaneously. So, this is what this game is ultimately about at the end of it all. You can start, having one society that's all about producing food, another that's all about production, where you plug in appropriate amenities for that. So, as I say, there's a lot of strategic depth going on here. But what I'm gonna do is plug in the jewelry that kid just brought back into town. So that's prosperity and also happiness. Happiness is now at 75, meaning I've got bonus 25% city production. Okay, couple of turns later, my workshop is now done, and this is where things start to get complicated, because workshops can produce multiple different items, all of which do multiple different things. For example, I could tell them to start work on producing plows. Plows would be very useful for, you know, my farms. I could literally plug a plow into, yes, this supply thing up here to increase the rate of grain production, because right now, I'll admit, it's a bit slow. We're new to this whole farming thing. We're still, you know, getting it set up and whatnot. So yeah, plug in a plow, and that would generate a giant pile of bonus grain. And as time goes on and technology advances, we could plug in fertilizer, power, fuel, and ultimately tractors. Let's not worry about tractors right now. We're still early enough in history. We've not developed calendars yet. Or alternatively, we could be producing lithic tools, which would actually be, yes, arguably more important, because I could plug lithic tools into the workshop itself, so it can then go on to produce other stuff even faster. But wait, don't forget about baskets, which, yes, if I was to plug that into Athens itself, would generate bonus city production. And that's base production, which would be multiplied out by my very happy citizens, so, yes, as I say, this game gets complicated in a hurry. Okay, so now we're getting into the world of setting up, yes, production queues with production limits. So produce just one tool, because probably the best thing we can do is produce that first, so everything that comes after gets produced at a faster rate. That's probably not a bad idea. That needs to be done faster too. So yeah, we're making lots of money right now. Just plug money into that, and let's make this happen nice and quickly, please. Just get that out the way. Then move over to, yes, the plows. Plug money into that too, and hang on. Did that just say minus 25? Right, it's a lot of money, actually, but we don't actually have any, like, you know, cows or horses, so, okay. I'm willing to accept that, because we're sitting on a giant pile of money and it's not doing anything else right now, so I'm sure it's all fine. Just tiny bit of money for the baskets too. I think that's probably for the best, yes. But yeah, now we're getting into the world of specialization, which is right over here in our lovely, lovely agricultural region, where we're producing some but not that much grain. We can, in theory, build a granary, which is itself a crafter. It could turn that grain into, you know, stored grain, which is very, very useful indeed. In fact, basically, yeah, that would be a huge bonus to city growth, which is good, because Athens is slowing down. And on top of that, it generates a bonus yields to nearby farms, but only those in the same region as it. So what we really want to do is, yeah, put that down very nearby to all the farms. So, go on then, buddy. You can go right here, right next to, you know, the two mega farms we're going to be producing. Lovely. Oh, also I think we might have, like, met someone while my scout was just moseying about. So, okay, hang on. Who's nearby? Okay, it's Germany, but they seem super chill for now. Lovely to meet you. Okay, and a couple of turns later, right, I'm now done producing the lithic tools I want. So, okay, plug that in there. Doesn't make a difference to, yeah, the plow, because we're tossing money at that. But it will mean, yeah, we're producing baskets a bit on the faster side. Lovely. Now, admittedly, you would like a rope too, and I have just, yeah, unlocked the ability to produce rope right here at my crafter. So, 16 turns. Can we maybe just, like, you know, get one rope out super, super quick? 3 turns, that's fine. Just one will do for now, thank you. So, okay. I've now researched 5 technologies, meaning there's still 2 to research in this era. But if I decide I want to, I can instead say, no, I'm done being in ancient history. Let's move on to the next era by researching bronze working and thus entering the Bronze Age. But if I do, this isn't like Civ, where, like, you know, you could go back and mop up old technologies later. I simply won't have them, though sometimes different technologies can be picked up again later. Here we go, say, a ceramics store. You can pick it up immediately at the start of the game with a pottery, which is what's available right now, but I could also, you know, pick it up later when I get to archers in antiquity, or say monument building in the Iron Age, so there's plenty of chances to get that again later, so I can probably safely leave that one behind. Archery, however, is a bit more of a complicated one, because apparently, yes, if my society doesn't embrace archery right now, it's just never going to have archers. Now, you know, down the line we might pick up a more advanced version, like, say, crossbowmen or something, but there will be just a period in the game where I simply will not have access to ranged troops. And also, by the looks of it, yes, a basic watchtower. We just won't have that either, so I'm gonna say, given I've only got one neighbour right now, and I don't know where they live, so they must be quite far away, yeah, Germany seems chill. I'm happy to leave those aside and move on into the next era, because that means I might get my hands on, you know, exciting, sexy technology before anyone else does, given my research right now is looking pretty good. And meanwhile up by the farms, right, my granary is now done, and like anything else, I can, you know, start plugging things into it, like, say, ceramic pots. I swear we just abandoned ceramic pots. We must have, like, you know, just found some out in the field and whatnot. So, that's fair enough. We'll plug in a pot that we just found. I could do with some more rope in a perfect world too. But yes, I can use the granary to convert grain into a grain store, and as you can see, you don't actually need grain to produce a grain store. If I didn't have any grain, then yeah, I could make the thing. It would just be very, very slow to represent the fact that, I don't know, my people are just scrounging up some, finding it around, trading for it, etc, etc. But if I just plug in a grain, okay, that's looking a lot bloody better.
Congratulations, you are the first nation to reach the Bronze Age.
Alright, so the game confirms, thanks to that bonus sign, so we've got into the Bronze Age faster than anyone else. In part because we just decided at the end, yes, we don't need bows, we've got bronze. Bronze is better than bows. Yes, once we start getting into later ages, there's a lot more technology to choose between. And on top of that, I still only need to do 5 before I can move on, so if you really want to, like, you know, abandon half the text of the game and beeline straight onwards, feel free to. But yes, you might leave yourself lacking certain key technologies down the line. Especially given technologies also unlock world wonders. Here we go, the Great Pyramid. Grants a giant pile of prestige and also increases its city's prosperity. So, oh, go on then. As we know for certain, we'll get a head start on it above anybody else. Let's give that a go, though, as you can see, yes, there is something rather interesting with wants in this game, which is, it's not just a case of, hey, do you have enough production to finish it before anyone else? You've also got to have the right tools to plug into it. A giant pile of rope, lithic tools, and ceramic pots. Now, pots might be a bit of a problem for me, because I literally don't have, like, a source of pots right now. You see, this is the downside of leaving technology behind. But this would also open up, yeah, the ceramic shop, so I could start making more. So, I'm going to say that's going to be a big goal for me, because prestige is ultimately how you win the game. There's not, like, as far as I'm aware, like a science victory or culture victory. Everything ultimately comes down to prestige. Which is a problem because, yes, though I've not met most of the people in the world right now, you can see how you compare in rankings to them. And the answer seems to be, for now, not very well. Like, I'm literally in joint last place. Okay, we might want to be, like, you know, keeping an eye on prestige a little bit more. But okay, also keep an eye on the basics here, which is a grain store has now been created. And that's really good news, because basically, screw you jewelry, instead, plug in a grain store. So now all of a sudden, yeah, the city is going to be slightly less productive, but it's going to grow faster, which gets me up to, yeah, level 5 faster, getting me a new amenity slot faster. So we can, like, you know, plug the jewelry back in again later. And on top of that, I figured, yes, it might be time to expand a bit, because it's not just about one single megacity. Oh no, no. You are going to be expanding too, though there are, like, you know, hard caps on how many cities you're allowed that rises over the course of the game. So, right, we know Germany is up here. Me and Germany are nice and chill for the time being, and up in this bit of the world, yeah, there's all sorts of interesting sea resources. So yeah, I feel like we're going to set down our second city over here. Okay, we've expanded a bit, started gathering grapes, though right now we're not doing anything with aforementioned grapes, though, yeah, can't help but notice Athens is rapidly creeping up on a population cap in terms of limited housing. So probably, yes, we need to be building a dwelling at this point, because, yeah, that is a hard cap. When we hit 5, if there's no more housing, the population just stops growing. That would not be a good thing. So, yeah. Housing +3, plus a bonus 2 if this is built to the city centre, and also a bonus to city production too. So, right. You can be built right here in this lovely big district right next to the Holy Fire. Meanwhile, up north, right, we're ready to put down city number 2. But, because of the work we've been doing back home, city number 2 could potentially end up growing a whole lot faster. Because, you see, Jonopolis might be, you know, a tiny and only have a population 1 right now, but it's still part of my empire, meaning it's got access to my advanced goods. So I could just plug a grain store into it immediately, generating city food and also city growth. So, okay, this is going to be up to population 2 in like 4 turns rather than 12. Okay, few turns later, masonry is now complete. And for technology, yeah, I now know we've maybe got some good cotton coming in from Jonopolis, so we'll get working on weaving. That sounds good. Oh, and very excitingly, right, my new living district is done in Athens, and I do enjoy how you can just, you know, zoom in and look at all the people going about their business. That's delightful. Oh, and that is true. Athens has now got, yes, its 3rd slot available, so, right. Give the lads some baskets, that's going to, yeah, have a nice impact on productivity. Now the question is, what do I do next? Because we could double down on, yeah, the farming districts, start investing in that, such as, for example, hang about. Oh, well. If I built a well, 1, that's prestige, 2, that increases, yeah, growth rate by virtue of health going up, and 3, that makes nearby farms better. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to build a well right here to support my farms, current and future. And at the same time, I'm going to begin a work on Operation Build tools to create gigantic pyramids. Meanwhile, up in Jonopolis, right, Germany would appear to be expanding in this direction. Okay, bare minimum, do not let them get the cows. We need to lock down these 2 locations before they can do the same. Meanwhile, right, thinking of prestige once again, the game occasionally gives you goals for the actual inn, like, you know, the period of history. And right now, a big goal would be build a palace. A palace that would generate a big increase to every single city stat if it's built to the city centre, so, okay, that is worth doing, though, yeah, there's a lot you can build to this game, and, like, so many competing priorities all the time. Oh, here's fun, by the way. So apparently, I've entered a golden age, which is a really rather interesting mechanic in this game, because, yes, it doesn't actually provide any bonuses in and of itself. It simply means if you earn prestige in the next 10 turns, that prestige gets a bit multiplied out. Golden Ages being a function of basically how happy your cities are. If you keep your city stats nice and high, you're gonna get more regular Golden Ages. Which could be especially significant for me, because I'm still in, like, very last place. Like, my society is doing well in terms of, you know, it's growing fast and whatnot, but it's not prestigious, damn it, and, yeah, at the end of the day, that's kind of what matters, because at the end of Act 1, the 4 smallest nations, they just get culled, they collapse, they, like, give up in the face of something. So, right, might want to be prioritising something prestigious, in fact. I tell you what, Stonehenge. I've already got the tools for that, need a bit of wood and whatnot, just need a giant pile of ropes. So, okay, let's have a think about Stonehenge. And at the same time, given I clearly need pots for, yes, various wonders and whatnot, get a ceramic shop down while I'm creating the rope we need. Okay, the rope is in production, and we're making it nice and fast. We're up to 2 already. Ceramic shop is done. Begin constructing, yes, ceramic pots. And how do we speed that up? Okay, mainly by tossing money at it. So, I am running a deficit right now just because I'm tossing money into every single bit of production. But honestly, I think that's worth it, because ideally what I'm doing is trading money for prestige, which I need to not die. And in the meantime, right, can't help but notice we've now got bakeries, so, okay, that grain could maybe start becoming something much more bloody delicious, a new amenity that increases city health, and that would increase growth rate, and that is slowing down a bit, so, go on then, why not? And as soon as that's done, yeah, I would not mind a second workshop. I think it might be time. Though yeah, just looking at the state of the world here, Germany is definitely expanding southwards towards us, and we're still chill for now, but yeah, I don't like the fact she's expanding in this direction. And also apparently Boudicca's over here as well. And, okay, Boudicca's kind of known for one thing, and that's causing trouble. So, okay, maybe like, you know, trade some troops or something at some point. Or just expand away from her, in this direction. There's a nice mountain range between me and her. Oh, meanwhile at Jonopolis, right. Apparently, yes, weavers could create a lot of nonsense, including, okay, fabric, which isn't an amenity, but can be used to create, like, zeppelins. Okay, might be a bit far in the future. Don't worry about that just yet, John. But you can also make rope. We do kind of need rope right now. Can you make rope out of... you can make rope out of cotton. Fascinating. Oh, though hilariously, right now I can't even build, like, you know, various standard structures. Purely because I'm kind of out of wood. So... right, before we, like, you know, build a great wonder the likes of which the world has never seen, probably best we, like, build a logging camp to get some more wood in. Also, I've been completely ignoring experts, because yes, as your city grows, you get more and more experts who can, like, be assigned to a particular job to make it way, way, way more effective. So, you know, if I assign an expert to the well, that's just a bonus 5 to city health for free. Alternatively, yeah, craft production goes through the roof, so really should have, like, you know, assigned one of these guys to my production facilities, like, way, way earlier, in fact. Okay. It's taken a bit of time, bit of crafting, etc, but we've got the resources we need to build Stonehenge, which would build up our city knowledge a lot, which is good, because for some reason our people are happy, but, like, incredibly stupid. So, okay, this would be, like, you know, a good way to offset that nonsense. Now, there is one interesting thing about triumphs in this game, which is they're really, really cocky big. You're basically giving up an entire region if you want to build a bloody triumph. Like, you know, that is 4 or 5 building slots that can't be used for anything else. So, I'm gonna hold off for, like, 2 turns here. Because this region down here has got sheep in it. And over here, we've got some saffron flowers. Now, we're not doing anything with those right now, but we might do in future. So, yeah, a nice empty region, like, say, this up here, that would be much nicer. Oh, and in fact, here you go. While we're just waiting for the right region to be available, a palace. We've got the materials we need to build a palace, and that would offset my incredibly stupid population too. So, okay. The game did say, build that in, like, you know, your city centre, and that will be really good. I'm pretty sure that's my city centre, right? I think this is my city centre. Yes, there we go. Athens, like the core city, right here. That can be my beautiful, sexy palace. So, oh, this is gonna be nice. Also, given my people are already incredibly stupid but happy, they may as well be, like, stupid but happier. So let's plug in some wine to go with the bread and the jewelry and whatnot. So, at this point, yes, we're almost down to basically doubling my own production. So, okay, that's gotta be worth it. Oh, and hello, sexy. Apparently, I've built a palace, like, you know, before anyone else. Mine is the first and best palace. Okay, I'm not sure entirely what's going on in my palace, but it feels like, yes, people are, like, gathering and bringing their dogs to, brilliant, to, yes, just, like, watch a show. I think I've just set up, like, you know, various dancing entertainments in front of my palace. So, okay, lovely. And that palace and its 100 prestige has just jumped me from pretty much last place to first place. So, yeah, building wonders, that's important. Oh, though, John, you may have waited a bit too long for Stonehenge. Someone else has built it elsewhere. Dear oh flippin' dear. Okay, but what we can do, having just built a small altar in, like, you know, what's going to be the sheep district ultimately, is found a religion. And I really quite enjoy how religion works in this game. Oh, on top of that though, right, screw the Bronze Age, now we're in Iron, so once again, there's a lot of new options available. And while I've been doing that, right, some people somewhere in the world have decided they're more glorious than me. Probably whoever just built bloody Stonehenge. Oh, sorry, I was talking about religion. Yes, the way you do religion in this game is, you add, like, beliefs and thus effects to it by literally adding new verses to, like, a hymn you sing in that religion. So yeah, I've just drawn these 3 options. I'm going to say happiness for productivity. There we go. Dull care afflicts those who know no art. A life without colour, sound or laughter is no life at all. Maybe more of like a sermon than a hymn, but like, I do enjoy that we're basically building a religious text out of the benefits we're claiming. Oh, and on top of that, right, it's a golden age. If I could get, you know, something built in this lovely big bit of land we just claimed. Right, how can I build something in 10 turns? I'm literally producing pots, 1 a turn. And I'm up to 13 already, so okay, that's good, that's really good. And there we go. I've now got everything I need to build the Great Pyramid. So, right, that's where we want to build it, this lovely giant empty area right here. That's going to take 7 turns to build, possibly 6. I think the game was like, you know, updating itself, and there's 7 turns left in the Golden Age. We need to make sure this is a sure thing. So, right, go into the district. What we can do is, yeah, dump goods in the district, and that, like, you know, adds production to the city. So if I just, yeah, produce some furniture from somewhere, we might be able to, yeah, generate some more production that gets doubled by my happy city, just to make it absolute double sure this pyramid gets done on time. Who wants to, like, you know, produce some flipping, yeah, furniture for me? You can do that, right? Yes, stop producing rope now, produce furniture instead. Oh, and perfect timing. Come on, game, be nice to me. And 10% build production. That should be even more flipping building. Beautiful. They haven't say build it big and tall and deep, and we're gonna do it. Ain't never gonna sleep. I feel like these two don't flow into each other particularly well, to be honest. Like, this hymn might need some work. Okay, here we go. Furniture is now ready to go, so dump that in dwelling number 1. That's going to flow straight into, yes, more production. Right there, though, by the looks of it. Hang on. Do I have another dwelling somewhere? Hang on, where did I put the other dwelling? There's one down here, isn't there? Bloody hell, guys, you can have baskets too. Okay, despite all that, the pyramid is currently at 3 turns to complete. Golden Age is 4 more turns. So that's down to 2 and 3. We're not accelerating, but surely this has all got to be contributing nicely. Not least as I'm not happy being in 2nd place, okay? Unacceptable. Whoever this is, the dick who stole Stonehenge off me, that cannot stand. But yes, if I've got this right, Golden Age still 2 turns, just to move over, and I do enjoy, by the way, how when you build a great wonder, your entire population literally gathers round to go and have a look-see at it, which I find delightful. So, there we flipping go. I've built a gigantic pyramid. What's that? 1st place with 1,167 prestige? Yeah, that'll do nicely, thank you. I will say, though, I haven't planned this very well in terms of my own view, because I live in the palace here. Like, I would need to, like, you know, stick my neck out the window and really peer off in this direction to get a good view of the pyramid. Like, this was not well placed. Instead, yeah, I mainly just look down onto the farmland, though, okay, seriously. I quite like my farm district, because this entire zone has just been set up to be amazing for farming. So, you know, we produce a giant amount of grain. We've got a water well that just, you know, improves that. We've got the granary right here too, so I do like how you can just, you know, zoom in and watch people. I think that guy down there is attempting to dig up the plaza around the well. This is why you don't let your city's intelligence go down to 0. This sort of stuff happens. Beyond that lovely farming district, we've started just digging up some limestone, so, you know, as time goes by, we might be able to start putting up some statues, etc, etc. And of course, new world wonders like the Great Lighthouse call for, yes, new materials too. Metal tools, so, okay, presumably, yeah, we need to have the right technology and maybe, just maybe, a more advanced crafting facility too. And there at the centre of everything is our Lord and God the Fire, still burning bright at the centre of town, even as, you know, people in general pay more attention to the pyramid next door. So, right. I would say, ladies and gentlemen, I think you get the point. This here is our history untold, or to be precise, like, you know, the first 2.5 chapters, give or take. We're still very much in Act 1. Like, this is still when the game is nice and simple and whatnot, and there is a lot I like here. It is gorgeous, there's a huge amount of strategic depth, I really like the way it plays with the production chains, but, and there is a fairly big but here, I feel like, yes, there's definitely a sense to my mind that it gets a bit bogged down in those very same production chains. Like, I've got 7 different crafting facilities in Athens right now, still in Act 1, still in the early chapters. That number is going to go up and up and up. And there's more up here in Genopolis too, so I feel like, yes, the game could do with some form of a mechanism to maybe automate some of the smaller tasks a little bit more easily. Because right now, as much as I do like what's here, also it does get a little bit fiddly to deal with every single production chain constantly. Now, I believe I have seen they are looking at, you know, making some changes in upcoming patches to modify that, so I think this here is going to be a game I will keep half an eye on in terms of the updates and whatnot, because I think what's here is an incredibly interesting foundation, but it does need a tiny bit of work just to, you know, take some of the faff out of managing the production chain. So, as I say, I will be keeping an eye on this. This is really, really bloody interesting. Like, after a few patches, bit of work, etc, etc, this could be a worthy competitor to Civ, absolutely. I think it's just not quite 100% there just yet. So, yeah, I'll be keeping an eye on this one. Maybe we'll see it again in future. We shall flipping see. But in the meantime, I've been John. This has been Many a True Nerd. And this has been the utterly fascinating Ara History Untold. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
You know, I really hope we've agreed open borders with Japan, by the way. Otherwise, they have basically just invaded. I may have picked the wrong fight over... Yep. And my cities, of course, have got even more flipping high-tech. They're mysteriously still completely dependent on, you know, an aqueduct. Now, I'm not saying your entire army is mostly already dead, but it kind of actually is.